Hello, and welcome to Comic Book Movie Oblivion, the podcast about feature films based on comic books and comic strips that people have stopped talking about. We are your hosts, Jordan and Kumar, that's me.
And me.
And this week we are talking about Nejishiki.
Nejishiki.
From 1998, sometimes titled Screwed.
Yes.
Sometimes titled, if you look it up on Wikipedia, it says Wind Up Type.
Yep. But that's not the title that we got when we watched the film. We got Screwed.
We got Screwed. The manga has also been known as the Stopcock. And sometimes
Stopcock Style, I think is another one.
Okay. I think there's a couple more.
Yeah. It's in very variable titles. What can you unpack that a little with your
I could say that Neji-shiki means... Neji is like a screw or threaded hardware. Shiki would be system. So it would literally mean... threaded hardware with a threaded system, like a screw or a bolt or something that's threaded like that.
Excellent.
So there's no clean, easy, catchy translation for it in English.
Well, Screwed is pretty good.
Screwed is, well...
I must say, it's probably my favourite of the lot.
Screwed is interesting. In the 2023 translation by Ryan Holmberg, who called it Neji-shiki, he's like, well, Screwed has sexual connotations in English, which are not in Neji-shiki. So even though there's all sorts of
there's a lot of sex stuff going on in it.
He's like, that's not what the title is, so he decided not to go with Screwed. Even Stopcock, which is the 1971 title, maybe
some slightly phallic implications there.
Yeah.
I don't hate that because it's quite disturbingly sexual. The comic is, it has some definite sexual undertones.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, there's a literal sex scene in it. That doesn't hurt.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like if you're translating like a pun and you can't translate it, but you find one in English on another page that you're like, oh, I could put one in here that's not there. Then you're like balancing the scales a little bit.
Got it.
So maybe it's legit to call this Screwed or Screw Style. I think Screwed is way off the map. I think it's good for the movie, actually.
Yeah. Well, good.
I think that's not a good title if it was the title of the comic. We've had 3 translations of this. We'll talk about them a little bit. This is by Yoshiharu Tsuge, who passed away, I believe, on the 3rd of March, so we're a little bit late to this. He was 88. He was one of the central figures in what was called the Gekiga movement in the 1960s. Gekiga was a bit like...
Underground comics?
I wouldn't go that far. I would say gritty comics. They were trying to get away from the Disney school, the Tezuka school.
Got it.
They were trying to do comics that had a bit more social awareness. Or some kind of social realism to them. Now, that might be marginally true for a lot of these comics, which were really... Sometimes they were just like crime comics, right? But they would have a bit of an edginess that the kids' comics didn't have. They weren't necessarily... It's a bit like the term graphic novel being used as a marketing term instead of comic books. It's the same thing, and one of them maybe is a little bit edgier, but not. It might just be a Hulk comic, except somebody gets their face bashed in and some blood spurts out, and you're like, whoa, this is...
It's not just grown-up comics.
That's right.
Exactly. It can be regular kind of comics, but with a little more explicit content.
That's right. Yeah, there's a bit of a flavor to it. Now, a Central magazine came up around this time called Garo in 1964. It ran until 2002, which was really central to this movement. Now, the years are also important because I think it kind of hit on the 60s in Japan before when we were talking
about Tomorrow's
Joe, and even to a certain extent, I would say, like Rose of Versailles.
Oh, yeah.
Where this kind of social stuff is coming, the youth movement, the student activism, all this kind of stuff is coming into all of the arts. We had this theater scene in Japan, which was called Ungura Theater, for underground theater movement, where people were putting on shows on like street corners under like a tarp or something, or just all these pop-up weird art stuff going on. So this particular 20-page comic Nejishiki explodes onto the scene at that time. Now, Yoshiharu Tsuge had been doing lots of comics. He tried to come in the traditional way. He had done some Tezuka-like stuff in his early days. He worshipped Tezuka as all the little kids did, and then tried to get in there and wasn't working. He was apparently a very socially awkward fellow.
Right.
Post-war, extreme poverty a lot of times. His family of four were like living in one room, and he would go from job to job, couldn't keep a job down, was hoping to break in as a manga artist. Ended up becoming an assistant to Shigeru Mizuki, who we might end up talking about someday, who did the monster series Kitaro, the yokai series, which people might know about that. It was kind of a cute kids comic, which became hugely popular, explosively popular. So he kind of branched into this Gekiga scene, so he was doing kind of travelogue stories, I guess. My understanding is where he would go on a trip somewhere and do this little story about some inn he stayed at or something like that. And he did that for a while, and then suddenly he did this story in 1968 called Neji-shiki, which is a bombshell of a kind of a dream logic story. He adamantly denies any kind of artistic intent behind it or anything like that. But
yes, and over the years he's given varying contradictory explanations about what inspired it. Sometimes he says it was a dream that he had. Sometimes he says he made it up out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
Another time I think he said he based it on a movie.
Right.
But this is part of his, I suppose, his artistic... the artistic intent is to say there is no artistic intent.
Right. It's just a bunch of ideas down on the page, but right then, I mean, it's 1968, academia latches onto it, and the whole arts movement is latching onto this, and this avant-garde scene, this counterculture that's happening is like, this is a completely different approach from anything we've seen before. He becomes this kind of giant cult figure.
Yes.
He has all sorts of physical and mental health issues, and retires from comics basically in the mid-'80s.
Yes.
Yes. We don't hear much from him.
And just sort of goes into seclusion.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And apparently was reluctant to have his work translated.
Right.
I'm not sure how much of this is true. So there's at least 3 movies based on his comics. I don't think we have access to the other 2 with English subtitles, as far as I know.
Yes. Yes. There's
Master of the Gensakan Inn.
Yes, that was also directed by Ishii.
That's right, Teruo Ishii. Yeah.
And then there's one more, but there's not one more that Ishii himself directed.
Oh.
But it's by.
Oh, you mean that Tsuge directed?
No. Ishii directed it.
That's right.
But it's not by Tsuge.
Okay.
It's by his brother.
Oh, Tadanobu Tsuge.
Yeah. Well, it's still by Tsuge, but the other Tsuge.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that his brother's a cartoonist as well?
Yeah, I think slightly more succcill.
Right.
Is my understanding.
In
terms of
he was able to make it commercially successful. I mean, I saw Tsuge Senior is sometimes called like the Robert Crumb of Japanese comics, and I can see why. Because he's socially awkward.
Yeah.
Tall. I don't know if he has any kind of fetish for large women, and
he seems to have a fetish for the bob haircut. That's like his ideal, apparently.
Yes, that's right. They all have bob haircuts, don't they? Yes. But so Ishii, who directed this film that we're going to talk about, he directed Villain Field. It's called.
Okay.
Or Field of Villains, or Field of Miscreants. That's by the younger.
Oh, Tadanobu Tsuge. Okay, got it. Ishii was known for gangster movies, mostly through the 60s. A lot of Takakura Ken movies.
Yes, he launched Takakura Ken's career.
Yeah, it was a big... Tarantino claims to absolutely love Ishii.
Yeah, he's a prolific...
This movie starts with a quote from John Woo saying, Ishii is my master.
That's the funniest.
And it just gets weirder. This of all movies?
Yeah, this movie, which has no action in it.
Yeah, bizarre.
Oh, well, yeah.
Bizarre.
And it just gets weirder from there.
It just gets weirder, yeah. Well, we can try to describe the comic. I will say, so he was reluctant to get his stuff translated, but he's had these movies, so in some states, people have somehow cajoled him into agreeing to, let's make a movie of this or that. He's like, how's that going to work? But he agrees to. A few of his comics were translated in Raw in the 80s. When we talked about Raw, when we talked about Richard Maguire's Here, because that was a very alternative art comics kind of anthology.
Yes.
So there were a couple of Tsuge stories in there. And in 1971, so there was this English language theater magazine published in Japan, in Tokyo, in the 70s. I don't know why it was in English. It's called Concern Theater Japan, about that experimental art theater scene that was happening. For some reason, they put out a special manga issue, which has some of the first manga ever translated into English, at least for non-educational purposes.
Right.
Because there was stuff for, like, troops and stuff before that, I know, for sure. And Tokyo Puck, like the Japanese version of Puck magazine, had English translations.
Yes, it did, yes.
So, anyway, so this is maybe the first... So one of the things in the special issue that they put in there was Nejishiki, and we have scans of this online. You can't find... There's one scan online, on, like, Archive, or any time you look for this magazine. I can't find a better scan or a physical copy in existence anywhere in the universe. So it's not a great scan, but that exists. And then, 30 years later, there was a translation done for the Comics Journal by Bill Randall. That Concerned Theater Japan version has no credited translator, but based on the read, it sounds like it was a Japanese person who's translated it. Is my hunch. Then we got the Bill Randall version in 2003, which was flipped right to...
I noticed that.
Or left to right for U.S. reading. Interesting.
Yeah, as late as 2003 as well.
Yeah, it's like... I don't know.
Were we still flipping manga?
No, actually, that was... Some was... Like, I was still working on... I was working on Blade of the Immortal. That was one of the last holdouts that was
still
flipped.
flipping.
Because they had started in, like, the 90s and they couldn't...
You can't switch it back. Understand.
That was around the time when the boom was happening, and it was about... The non-flipping was starting to take hold. But also because it was the journal and the whole magazine would have been read left to right. They do it sometimes where you have an excerpt for something from a manga and you've got to flip the magazine around. Or
turn it upside down.
It does.
A bit weird.
It's slightly weird, and it was probably a bit too much for the journal, so they flipped it. Then, 20 years after that, we have the Ryan Holmberg translation, because Drawn Quarterly has started putting out all of Tsuge's works in English,
which we've discussed before.
Yeah, in these big like hardcovers, maybe. Is there a market for these? I'm really surprised. I mean, I'm glad, but is anybody
who's reading these?
Yeah, scholars, maybe real extreme like manga
it's the Criterion
historians.
Collection.
Yes, it's a bit what it's like. It's like,
it's of interest to academics and aficionados of the history of popular culture in Japan.
Yeah.
Like yourself?
Yeah.
For the layperson, it's hard to see the appeal, I have to say.
Yeah. It's a bit, I mean, I like Neji-shiki, but it's interesting how it's kind of a blip. Like, after this, he kind of goes back to his other style. I mean, it's still... The stories are still weird. They're not really stories. They're kind of assemblies of feelings.
Yes. But they're a bit more coherent. There's less dreamlike.
Exactly.
It's much less magically realist.
It's hard to even say magically realist. Magically realist means like there's one thing is off.
It's not correct to say that. No, it really just slides around, and there's no kind of like resolution. But there is a sort of resolution. But the scenes don't naturally lead from one to the next. It does have a dream logic. We just jump from place to place. He rides the train backwards from town to town.
Things like... But that's one of the things I like about it in terms of, like, it really feels like a dream. Like, he comes to this town, his arm's been cut by a jellyfish, and he's bleeding out of this vein that's like a pipe, thick as a pipe sticking out of his arm.
It's funny.
And he shows up in this town, and he's like...
This is how the manga starts. He's walking out of the sea. There's I think perhaps a B-52 bomber behind him.
Yeah.
He's cut his arm on a jellyfish, as he said. How do you do that? A jellyfish soft?
Yeah. It says, jellyfish are the last thing I expected to run into at a place like this. I happened to be swimming at the beach when one stung my left arm, so he was stunned.
But it's gashed him to such an extent that his veins are flopping out of his arm, and he has to pinch them together.
Yeah.
So he spends the whole comic, the whole manga, with his holding his arm with his hand.
Yeah.
And then he emerges from the surf, and then he wanders. He says he has to head to the nearest town to get a doctor, or he's going to bleed out.
Yeah.
And he arrives in the town, and it's a dreamscape. There are just people sort of sitting oddly.
Yeah, it's weird, like, post-war. I mean, it's 68, but it still feels like really, like, almost virtually abandoned until you meet 2 or 3 people, and then
it's a kind of Japan that we're not used to seeing. So it's a bit like Ashita no Joe.
Yeah.
In that we're seeing the way people were living on the margins. This feels like a marginal place.
Yeah.
Although it's not urban, it's rural. So we're seeing some of the long-term rural poverty that was in the post-war era.
Yeah. So one of the bits I like here is he walks up to these people and he says, this is from the Holmberg translation, the most recent one, I'm desperate, I need to find a doctor. And somebody who's sitting there says, so I understand that you're looking for a doctor. I love it. It's really like the frustration you have in a dream where you're saying something and the people are just not saying back what you want to hear. It's interesting because the Bill Randall, there's things I like most about each of the translations. Bill Randall tries to fix this line, where he says, my arm is cut, I'm desperate, and the guy says, you must need a doctor.
Right. That's not right.
I don't like that, because this isn't supposed to make sense.
Yeah.
A lot of this is supposed to be like...
Yes, I noticed that as well, and I thought that's interesting that he chose to do that, to make it more sensical.
Yeah, try to clean... And I think there even Holmberg, who's one of... maybe the number one guy for translating of alternative manga, has, at the very end, once the doctor puts this thing in his arm to stop the bleeding, in the Japanese, she just says, I employed a on-off system. Yeah. That means it's a faucet you can turn on or off. Every one of these has been translated wildly differently. The Japanese person who translated the Concerned Theater Japan version they used XO in Japan to mean no, yes, on, off. And they're like, she's like, I used XO. I said, what is that?
XO sauce.
And then Bill Randall had a very long explanation in this word balloon. And even Holmberg used long explanation. I'm like, just leave it. Let it be confusing and weird, and a weird statement from this doctor that doesn't address what he was saying to her. Anyway, yes. So he arrives in this town. He's
met with unhelpful kind of dream conversation.
Yes.
Where a guy just sort of corrects his grammar or something like that. Yeah. And he realizes that there's no doctor in this town, and he's going to have to head to the next town.
Yeah. Oh, and he's in frustration. He keels over, and this like marching band with like trumpets goes by.
The marching band. That's really odd.
But it's a very abstract panel. It's just white, him on the ground. But by the way, very awkward drawings from Tsuge. And by the way, they were sharing assistants with Mizuki Pro, his actual boss.
Right.
So some of these comics, I mean, Ryoichi Ikegami worked on some of these, like, which is hard to imagine now. But anyway, yeah. So some of these things were drawn by people. A lot of it is photo reference, just like photo traced.
Yes, and that's quite clear. Yeah, and it makes it jarring. We have a mixture of styles.
Yes, sometimes the same person will look completely different in two different panels.
Like the grammar guy. He looks like a photo tracing in one, and he looks just like a kind of like lump. Yes. In another.
Yes.
Really weird.
And our main character has this really awkwardly shaped head that's like more side to side, kind of oblong. Okay, so he decides to go to the next town. He walks up these train tracks where the signs
are all blank.
They're all blank. They have no writing on them.
That's probably my favorite image. From the comic. I really like that. The signs to nowhere that signify nothing.
His arm, he thinks, is starting to rot because there's flies buzzing around it, and he sees a train coming. The train is being driven by a little kid wearing a kid's mask, like a festival mask. And he's like, thank goodness you came here. But once he gets on, he's like, wait, we're going away from that village I was walking towards. You can tell because it's receding in the rearview mirror. That's how he knows that they're going away from it, because it's receding. And the kid driving the train in the cat mask says, just close your eyes and it'll feel like you're going in the right direction.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, I'll do that. It's all really dreamy stuff.
Yep.
The window of the train, by the way, is just smashed out. There's no glass in it. You just get the shards. And he hears a wind chime. And he's like, oh, I wish my mother were here to experience this and to hear a wind chime in the summertime while you're on a train.
Yeah.
And then they arrive in a full-page splash back in the city where he left. He's like, hey, this is where I left from. And there's an interesting, awkward drawing where he's holding his face. He's like, oh, I've wasted all that time on that train. He shouldn't be holding his arm up to his face, by the way, because he's supposed to be holding that thing close.
He let go of it for a moment.
He gets to the town, and it's back in town. All the doctors are ophthalmologists.
And the signs are all eyes.
They're all just eyes, yeah.
Do you know, just to open a tab, I read a Junji Ito comic.
Yeah.
Where the character goes to a town that's occupied solely by professional mourners.
Okay.
And all the signs in the town are crying eyes. And it looks just like this.
He might have lifted it. I
really hope he did.
Yeah. He might have seen this panel and been like, wait, that gives me an idea.
I couldn't believe Read. I was like, oh my god, I've seen this before.
Yeah. So he meets a woman, an old woman who's making candy.
Yes.
And he says, I need to find a doctor. He says, I need an OBGYN. He needs a gynecologist. This is also a dream thing. You can see yourself just somehow tracks have changed. Now he's looking for a gynecologist. He says he wants one who works in like a big building and has her own office.
Yeah, on the second floor.
Yeah, or something like that.
Or on the third floor.
And this lady who's running this Kintaro Candy says, well, look at my building here. And it says Kintaro Candy, and also gynecologist on the top floor. And she's like, look, what you want's right here.
Yep.
And he's like, whoa, you must be loaded.
Yep.
And
he's made a lot of money from owning...
From your candies.
This is when he says, my mother invented Kintaro Candy.
Well, this is translated a bunch of different ways, but Holmberg says, the design of Kintaro candies is innovative indeed. In fact, they were invented long ago by my own mother. And then he's like, therefore, you must be a mother. What is the logic in the sense? It doesn't make any sense. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
a hallucination. Yeah.
Exactly. You're like, wait a second. So he's like, you got rich off the patent of these candies. These candies are brand new, so you patented them. But actually, they were invented a long time ago by my mother.
Yeah.
You're my mother. He tries to pull off.
You're my mother from before I was born.
From before I was born, he says in the next panel. Yes.
Dream logic.
Yes. And she's like, I can't tell you my secrets, because then I would have to explain how the candies are made. And then he says, okay, then I'm not going to ask. And then the next panel, they're breaking these open.
Yep,
now,
they have faces.
In two of the translations, the first two, he says, okay, I'm not going to ask.
Right.
Since you say you can't tell me, I'm not going to ask. But in Holmberg, he's actually said, I see, now I really need to know. I don't know how he came to that decision.
How did we get to two different...
but
what does it say in Japan? Did you read the...
Kikumasumai means... Kikimasumai. It's like a really old-fashioned way of saying, I will not ask.
Oh.
Maybe Holmberg took it to mean he was sarcastic, or I don't know.
Wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the idea that he says, I'm not going to ask. In the next panel, they're breaking open these candies.
So she's showing him how it's done.
And
so they're a kind of long candy with where they've layered it so that there's the image of a face running the whole way through it.
Yeah. And she says, he breaks it open. He says, see, the secret is it's Momotaro inside. Now, I don't know if Momotaro and Kintaro are two famous, like, Kabuki characters or something.
Right. That's what I assumed it was something
like that. I don't know. There's nothing in... Holmberg's written like a 50-page essay at the end of the volume, and he doesn't mention what Momotaro or Kintaro are. But he breaks... our main character breaks over. He's like, I see, it's Momotaro inside. And she says, the old lady says, well... It is Momotaro, but actually it's Kintaro.
Yes.
What does that mean? Don't know. And they show each other...
3 times I read it. 3 different translations. It just didn't make any sense in any of them.
And they show each other the faces inside. They seem to be both the same faces.
They are, yeah.
And then they pretend to make them talk to each other. And I actually like the Concerned Theater Japan translation of this bit the best, because one of them says, fare thee well, and the other says Godspeed, which is pretty good. All the others, the two others have been like, this one, the Holmberg says, nice to meet you, kind sir, and you, sir, or something like that. I was like, whatever. Okay, anyway. Okay, so after that, he goes off wandering again. He goes into the doctor.
Well, he goes to find. He just appears in the gynecologist's office.
Well, first he wanders. He's been wandering through like a tunnel, and he says, "Finally, I found a doctor."
Oh yeah. I
guess the tunnel goes up into the office, so it makes sense in a dream. It's absolutely the kind of
anything can make sense. No, it really does genuinely feel. It's got a real dream-like, surrealist quality.
He comes into this. He enters this kind of foyer, which is just in ruins. It looks bombed out.
Yep.
And there's a lady doctor sitting there with one of those old, like, the mirrors on the headband.
Yeah, reflecting mirror on her forehead.
And she's like, hey, this is OBGYN, it's not for men.
This is not a place for men. Yep.
And he's like, what's your problem? He starts stripping her down, feeling her up.
Yep.
This is one panel, by the way. It's not like a prolonged scene. He just, like, she's suddenly in the next panel, she's got her top off. He's like, I have no time for such niceties. He's like, I might die, and then she's like, okay, let's play doctor. So different drawing, the same woman, every drawing she looks completely different. They start making out or having sex under covers, or she's actually...
But she's also fixing him up at the same time. She uses a spanner.
Yes, which also, that first guy that he talked to in town was holding a spanner, a wrench as well.
Yeah, a wrench.
If you want to... I mean, it's tempting to look for Freudian readings and all this stuff. I mean, can you? I don't know. Here there's a line where, like, while they're tossing and turning under the covers, he's like, you're going to operate without any anesthetic. And he's like, that's crazy. And then there's a line, which is, you're so rough, or you're reckless. And it's not quite clear who's saying that, if it's him or her.
Right.
But Bill Randall's made it very clear. It's like, you're very rough for a doctor, which I don't quite think is in the original. Anyway, finally he crawls out of there, and she's put a like a faucet tap on his arm that opens and closes. And he says when he closes it, his arm...
It's like a threaded valve.
Yeah, exactly. Threaded valve. That's what this comic should have been called.
Oh, good.
That's a good translation of what this should be.
I got a new job.
Yep. Threaded valve. Thank you. And then suddenly he's on a speedboat being driven by some other guy, and he kind of speedboats off into the future and just says, now whenever I close my threaded valve...
My arm tingles.
My arm tingles. The end. That's the whole comic.
Really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, very weird. And here is, this was his initial statement on it. After it was published, people made a fuss about Nejishiki being a work of art, but it was just based on a dream I saw on the roof of a ramen shop, so there's nothing artistic about it at all. My motivations for turning a dream into a comic were also arbitrary. A deadline was approaching, and I was stressed because I had nothing already in the works. So I thought to hell with it and drew whatever. I didn't have any interest in dreams at all in those days. Drawing them didn't mean anything special to me. I drew Neji-shiki just feeling whatever. And as he said later on, he's kind of...
He's walked it back and said
it was a dream. He walked back a little bit, he said, I did want to draw... He said, none of it was intentional, however, I did want to draw the horrors of the soul. Blood gushes out of the boy's arm, right? He knows he'll die if he hesitates, yet the fear he experiences is not the horror you'd typically feel if you're cut by a blade. I wanted to draw a kind of horror that can't be experienced in real life. So it's kind of accumulated some meaning by himself over time, but immediately the intelligentsia latched on to this.
Yes, as a kind of emblematic of this countercultural...
Yes.
Art and theatre movement that was occurring at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see why. There are some pretty definite themes of poverty.
Yes.
Alienation.
Yep.
General malaise.
Yep.
A sort of loss of purpose, being adrift.
Yeah.
Being unable to reach a goal.
Yeah.
All kinds of ideas that would have been very present in this kind of... And some similar things that we saw in Tomorrow's Joe.
Yeah.
About, why the way Joe lived and why he did what he did, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So as you said, a kind of bombshell.
Yeah.
Really, if it had come out 5 years earlier or 5 years later, probably no one would ever have.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're probably right. Okay, there's two other stories in the Neji-shiki collection that's come out from Drawn Quarterly, which are relevant to this movie.
Yes.
One is the Mokkiriya Tavern Girl. This is about a guy who goes out to the countryside. Apparently, I think there's a line he says later on, he likes hearing different accents, the way people talk in different places, so he's come specifically, he travels around.
He's gone to this town just to hear the local accent, yep.
And he meets this rough girl who works at a local tavern.
She has a bob haircut?
Yes. I think her name is Chijio. And she directs him to this tavern, the Mokkiriya Tavern.
Where she also works as the hostess.
She works as the hostess there.
Which she doesn't tell him until they arrive and she starts serving him.
That's right. And she says she was sold there by her father to the woman who now lives next door with her father. There's some complicated thing going on there. Even the narrator, the lead character, can't figure out exactly what's going on. And she, I guess they're both drinking a bit, and she grabs his hand and puts it on her breast. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "What's the matter with you?" And then she's like, he's like, "Stop doing that." They have some more drinks. She says, "I want something red," and he's like, "Oh, red shoes." It's a little game they play where he tries to figure out what the red thing is that she wants. He gets really drunk. She puts him to bed. That night, there are two real drunkard, like sleazy drunkards in the bar, and they're
assaulting her or something.
Yeah, they're having some kind of game where she has to endure the breast fondling for 5 minutes, and then she'll get what she wants, which may be red shoes from town.
Yeah.
But she only lasts about 3 minutes and then collapses. Either she says, this sucks in the translation, or in the movie, the translation says, "I can't take this anymore." And I don't know if it means she doesn't want to be fondled or if she had an orgasm and just collapsed because of that. It's just not clear what happened. And they're chanting, "Go Chijio, go Chijio," as they're doing this to her. And the next day, the guy wakes up, or even that night, in the morning, he wakes up and he's like, "Okay, I'm ready to leave town." And he walks away, and as he walks away, he's chanting the song that they were...
Go Chijio, go.
Go Chijio, go, and that's the end of that story.
Yes, this is a much more kind of typical short story, slice of life narrative, this is like something you would read in a short story anthology.
Yes.
An experience of a girl.
An incident.
An incident that occurred in this town, and there's a girl that's been sold, in the modern age, been sold to it's not a brothel, but it's been sold as like a hostess to like a pub, and she has to work in there, and she'd like to escape, and she can't, and then he just leaves. Yeah. It's like, exactly. It's like a very postmodern kind of...
Yeah. Okay, next one is Master of the Willow Inn. So this starts with our main character. It's a different character. These are just short stories about different people. Mm-hmm. This is an important point when we get to the movie.
Yes.
He's in what's called a nude studio, which is apparently a thing in the 60s, where it would be set up like a photo studio, and you'd pay to go in and see these girls nude.
Yep.
It wouldn't be like a brothel, and you could pay extra to take photos or something.
So it's like live drawing, but it just...
Sometimes they'd have pen and paper there so you could draw.
But it was just like peep show, but with a veneer of legitimacy. There's
this girl there who's like saying, she's pointing to parts of her body and saying, "This is Shiba Park," or "This is Koenji Station," and this very depressed guy's looking at her, and then she's like, "What's wrong with you? You seem so depressed." And he walks out, and he decides to... He walks through the red light district. All these girls invite him in. He doesn't go in. He goes back to his first girl again. She's like, "Are you on sleeping pills or something? Are you on something that makes you fat?" She's like, she's a bit slightly what you describe as overweight, and she's like, "Yeah, because I was on those and I was off."
The woman in the movie is not overweight, and she has all the same lines.
Yeah, all really the same lines. So he gets on a train. He goes to this country town. He comes to this place called the Willow Inn.
Yep.
And there's a woman and her daughter running the place. And this guy looks at the daughter and he's like, "This girl's not a virgin." He somehow, from the look of her, he's like, "I bet she had sex with a guy at a festival, and then she's had sex with lots of guys, And then he says, one time she's in the bath, and she didn't try to cover herself when I opened the door or walked in or something like that. Yeah. And also he says, she's giving me looks. And that night, he's like trying to pretend he finds her not attractive. He tries to pretend to be asleep. She comes in his room with her robe like half open. And he pretends to be asleep, but he hadn't put out a cigarette. And so he's like, oh, she knows that I was awake, and that wasn't a mistake. So he goes down, and he has this crazy moment where he's like, I know what she wants. And he poses like the girl in the photo studio with his legs spread for her.
So
and
weird.
She's like, whoa, okay. And then he jumps on her.
Revolted by that, and then he assaults her.
And then he has sex with her, and he fantasizes about, what if I stayed here and became master of the inn? What if I married her? I think he even says to her, what if I married you and I became the master here? And she's like, oh, he's someone to help cook. But then he leaves, and he comes back a year later, and he goes to the same place, and she doesn't remember him.
Yep, she has no idea who he is.
Yeah. And then he's like, okay, he goes to the beach, he finds a stray cat, and he says, I remember a thing I read in a novel where if you put a cat's paws in your eyes, it feels really good. So he lies down, closes his eyes, put the cat's paws on his eyelids, and it's like, oh yeah, it feels really cold. The paws are cold, and it feels nice. And that's it, the end.
Yep.
Yep.
The first half,
Yeah.
it feels like he would be an unreliable narrator if we didn't see him being such a creep.
Well,
So it's sort of like it's like Diary of a Rapist.
yes, but it was also... He kept saying the word fantasy kept coming up. Like, when he goes down the stairs after she's left, he wakes up and goes downstairs and says, oh, I fantasized about all the things I could do to her. Then we get the sex scene, and then later he says, I couldn't sleep that night because of all the fantasies I was having. I was like, wait, did he fantasize that whole thing, or did he actually do it?
Yeah.
Don't know.
But I do like the part where we get like the sleazebag that thinks that women, everything a woman does is for his benefit.
Yes.
And and then he decides he's entitled to her body.
That's right.
I liked that part because it was a good mirror into or lens into the mind of that kind of person.
Yeah.
Then it just kind of gets weird.
Yeah. By the way, I will say, sexual assault is very typical of Tsuge's work. Uh-huh. It shows up in story after story.
It happened in all of the ones I read.
If you read these once a month, if he's behind a deadline once every 2 months, you'd be like, okay, this thing Tsuge does 4 times in an 85-minute movie with 10 minutes of credits. Boy, oh boy, it's something else.
Yeah. Screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the movie now. There may be a 4th story, and I'll tell you why I think so. I have this pamphlet that was made at the time the movie came out. And what they've done is they made a comic out of the movie interslicing... Is that a word? Interspersed actual panels with photos from the movie.
So good. That's like crack to me.
Yeah. It's really cool. And the thing about it is there's the whole first section of the movie, which we'll talk about in a moment, there's comics panels of stuff in there too, but I'm not sure if these are by Tsuge because he wasn't making comics in the 90s anymore. Did they recruit him to draw a few panels, or
are they from stuff that hasn't been translated, or
or they from
hasn't been published?
The only reason I know that Nejishiki, Mokkiriya, and Willow Inn were in this because I went to the Japanese wiki and it was like these are 3 of the stories included. There might have been a 4th included. I don't know what this 4th story is.
Okay,
but
surely it's something by Tsuge. It must be, right?
It's
just one that we're not aware of.
Or do they get some lookalike artist to draw something? I mean, he doesn't have a consistent style.
Right, but to adapt 3 of his stories and then get someone else to do a 4th?
To make up, surely his body of work I think maybe Ishii just made... There's some stuff in here that just...
Maybe it was something his brother
There's something about the humor of this first section too, which is very un-Tsuge-like. I mean, these stories there's not generally laughs in them.
Good point.
But there's some weird, like, piss jokes and diaper jokes.
Yeah. I actually laughed at that.
I did too, but I was like, why is this... What is the source material for this? Does it just come out of Ishii's head?
I found an interview with Ishii where the interviewer, confused, thinks that he's done 3 films by Tsuge, but it's actually just 2 and 1 by his brother.
Got it. Okay.
But Ishii himself doesn't correct the interviewer and also seems to have mixed up the two brothers.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe it's
right.
Maybe it's maybe this film adapts
Tadanobu
both.
Tsuge movie, comic.
Maybe.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, hadn't considered that. Okay, so we start with a clown orgy.
After the John Woo,
in the mud. Yes.
After the John Woo, that's really weird. We got a heavy red filter. We've got naked men and women, some covered in mud, some wearing loincloths. All of them sort of grunting and moaning, and it's like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's like El Topo or something. It's really fucking weird.
It looks like they're on Mars.
Yeah.
It's so.
I thought, my face just dropped, and I thought, is this what the whole movie's going to be like?
One person has clown makeup of some sort on.
And they're at the beach, I think.
Yeah, they're at the beach. That's right. So,
and I thought,
this really looks like an art project.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Does it look like a 1998 art? Was it supposed to look like a 1968 art project? I don't know. It's such a strange choice.
It really looks like something you would turn in first year film studies or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Really, really weird.
Yeah.
I just thought, oh my god.
By the way, it's like 4 minutes of opening credits and 5-6 minutes of end credits.
Yeah.
Are this
stuff.
This stuff.
Yeah.
And the whole movie's 85 minutes all up.
But I do like what happens because when all this weird grinding and moaning is over, it's not very sexual, it's just really odd.
Yeah.
Like they're in pain or acting out something. One guy seems to be having convulsions. Mm-hmm. Anyway, then we see our main character, who...
Tsuge.
Right. He is drawing this picture.
Yes.
So, okay. It's his imagination, or his muse.
Yeah.
Or it's his Giger-esque internal landscape
right.
that he's trying to convey on paper.
Right. Yes, and I also liked that the Neji-shiki story is the last thing in this movie. So, in a sense, it sets a precedent. Okay, weird shit's gonna happen at the end. Otherwise, you just go through a very prosaic kind of movie.
It is rather.
And then suddenly get slapped with all the Neji-shiki dream stuff at the end.
Really weird.
Yeah. So we get this manga artist, Tsuge, who's having trouble drawing. In fact, one of the drawings I'm looking at right now is the kid holding his arm. So he has been living for 2 years with his girlfriend, Kuniko.
Sometimes described as his wife.
Confusing. But I think later on... So Kuniko, he finds a bunch of condoms in her handbag, and he's like, why does she have these? And he spies on her at her work. She works at this dorm, and she's very flirty with the muscular guys.
Kojiro.
Yeah, and she brings guys home. And at one point, she tells Tsuge, I'm pregnant by this guy that came into a bookshop.
Yeah.
That came into the bookshop or whatever that she was working at.
He sure did.
And he vomits. Did she reveal it was like a lie?
I don't think so. Yeah. And then he kind of... maybe caused by this, goes on a sort of odyssey.
Yeah, but she says about Kojiro, she's like, I can have you as my boyfriend and he could be my husband,
or vice versa, something like that.
I think the line she says is, it's good to have you as my boyfriend, and then I could take him as my husband. I think she's teasing him,
right? But also, they might be already married.
I don't know. He says we've been living for... It's very confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're married or not. And I was like, if they're married... Well, I mean, yes, married couples could be using condoms. I don't know quite what's going on here. Anyway, yeah, so she's like... Sometimes she brings Kojiro home, and they're having this discussion about, hey, my friend Sumu, had sex with her boyfriend right in front of her husband.
Yeah, the promiscuous...
Yeah, she's like, my friend did this, and they're having this conversation in front of Tsuge while he's trying to draw a manga or whatever. So it's almost like she's trying to cuckold him. They're trying to convince him to. That night, Kojiro sleeps in their house. There are three of them lying together on this time mat. Wakes up in the morning, she's actually in Tsube's arms, and he's like, well, that's a relief, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
And he actually, they can't afford to live. This stuff is all very Tsuge, real life Tsuge.
Yeah, he
stuff.
can't. He's got writer's block, perhaps, or he's just not able to make a living as a cartoonist.
Yeah. He goes to live with this guy that's a lettering designer, and that guy comes on to him that night, like tries to sleep with him.
Yeah.
But then in the morning he's like, boy, I had this dirty dream last night. As if, like, he didn't know he was doing it.
Yeah, that's funny.
And, okay, so then, basically, what triggers him causing the attempted suicide? By the way, Tsuge also attempted suicide, unsuccessfully, of course.
Right.
So a lot of this stuff you can really feel, like the poverty, the depression. If this isn't a Tsuge story, I think Ishii's tapped into
Cribbed
it.
one pretty effectively.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think it's after the story about the guy in the bookshop that she says got her pregnant. She might not be pregnant. We're not sure, because she says something that makes it sound like it was a joke. He buys a bottle of pills and he takes the pills.
Yes.
He wakes up in the morning in the hospital, or that night. By the way, his landlord shows up.
His landlord is Tiger Tanaka.
Tiger Tanaka. Yeah.
Tetsuro Tanba is the actor.
Yeah.
A huge, incredibly long career.
Yeah.
And of course he was in You Only Live Twice.
Yes. He's listed in the opening credits in the translation. I did look at the job. He says, as special guest, special appearance by Tetsuro Tanba. So
it's wild to see him in this movie.
Yeah. And the doctor comes in, the nurse comes in, and the doctor's like, okay, he might have soiled himself or he might be about to soil himself, so we got to take off his pants and put a diaper on.
Diaper on him.
Now we get this long comedy bit where
he keeps doing his fly back up.
Yeah,
she takes down his fly. He does his fly back up, and then the nurse says,
he's unconscious.
Yeah, and like crossing his legs, and the nurse says, "Oh, he's horny. That's why he keeps doing his fly back up." I was like, that doesn't make sense. And so we get a long bit where they're trying to get off his pants.
And then the doctor's like, just take him to the urinals.
Yeah.
He goes to the urinal. She takes his penis out and holds it, but it's like starts spraying
at a right angle,
all over the place, and at right angles, and backwards, like to the door, the entryway. The two guys, his friend and the landlord, both get sprayed in the face.
So silly.
They finally release him. And then, suddenly, 30 minutes into the movie, you get a smash cut to Mokkiriya Tavern Girl. Mm-hmm. Suddenly, he's dressed like a country traveler who has wandered into this country.
How is he in the countryside? We never get... Because the dialogue's lifted straight from the comic.
Yeah.
So we never get an explanation for why he's there.
We don't get the sense that this is a guy that was suicidal 5 minutes ago.
No. It's like a completely different character.
Yes, and it is a completely different character. It basically plays out word for word, like the comic.
He says all the same things. He says, "I'm here because I'm interested in accents." Okay, you were a cartoonist in the last scene. Now he follows her to the tavern again.
Yeah,
she feeds him sake again. She puts her hand in her kimono again. He vomits again.
Yeah,
he's put to bed again.
Yeah,
the lewd blokes show up again playing the Go Chijio Go game.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of breasts in this movie.
Yep. A lot.
And then he watches again, and at the end he wanders off saying, "Go Chijio Go" again.
Yep. And then we get a smash cut to the girl in the nude studio pointing to the parts of her body and saying, "Here's Tokyo Tower," etc. Okay.
Credited as stripper.
Right.
The actress is Mika Aoba. She has 2 credits on IMDb.
Wow, okay.
This and another film called A Weapon in My Heart.
Maybe he hired her out of an actual nude... No, there wouldn't have been in the 90s.
Well, we did ask...
Oh, yeah. We had Todd Rohal where he got...
We did ask Todd Rohal how to get naked women.
Yeah. Okay, so now we get the story of the Willow Inn.
Yep. Exactly the same.
Almost note for note. Now, here's the weird...
And this woman, she says as I mentioned earlier, she says her lines about having gained weight after giving out sleeping pills. And this woman has not an ounce of extra fat on her.
In fact, really I will say... Okay, so also our main character, Tsube, is played by Tadanobu Asano.
Yeah.
Who is probably going to be his podcast 7 or 8 times by the time we're done with him.
It's pointless to list all of his manga adaptation credits. So I'll just mention that he is actually in the MCU.
As what?
He's Hogun, one of the Warriors 3.
Whoa. Okay. I forgot about that completely. Absolutely forgot about that. Okay, so here's the...
He's also really handsome.
This is what I was going to say.
Unlike
Tsuge
any of
draws
Tsuge's...
pretty ugly, weird-looking characters, except for the two creeps at the bar. All these women are beautiful. Tadanobu Asano is very handsome in this.
Yeah.
He does not look like this character.
No. No, right? Why did Ishii make this movie?
Great question.
What
Why?
did he want to do with it?
This is a core, real
Why did
question
he
about
cast
this.
beautiful women and a handsome lead?
So he's a filmmaker and he thinks in terms of moving images. He reads these comics and he's like, you know what he's missing is moving images. And handsome people? I don't know. What?
I don't know. Very funny.
It's very odd.
We'll talk a bit more about it later.
Okay, here's my problem with... So we've suddenly jumped back. So he's suddenly done with... He went out to the country. He's not on a cross-country quest. He comes back to the city
we don't see,
in terms of the movie.
We don't
Now he's
see him
back
in
the big
transit.
city.
We don't see him on a train.
Shouldn't it be
He should have...
suicide attempt, then he's down in the dumps going to these nude studio girls
With dialogue
in the
about
city,
depression.
and then he goes out to the countryside.
Yeah,
Like,
because
I'm going to
he's-
get away from the big city.
Well, because he
Isn't
goes
that
to the
the-
coast in this one, Master of the Willow Inn.
Yeah.
So maybe because
He could go from the Mokkiriya Tavern to the coast, to the beach. Like, there's nothing...
Yeah, I suppose because the next scene, the next vignette or whatever after this one is Nejishiki.
Yeah.
So I suppose Ishii wanted him to already be at the coast, so that it made sense that he was.
But the Neji sequence, it's a dream sequence. He sees himself on the beach walking out of the water. So there's no... He could have gone to... He could... the way I see it, he goes city, goes to the country, and then from the inn, when he says go Chijio go and he walks off into the moonlight or into the dawn, he walks to the beach.
Yeah,
easy.
sure. But there's no framing device.
No, that's the part of the problem. Yeah. Well, explain why he came back to the city, but it's still awkward to me to... I think you need to go in a direction if you're going to have a kind of picaresque.
This hasn't bothered. I wouldn't be surprised if they were in order of publication or something. No.
Oh. No, they're not.
No, they're not. But there's no rhyme
They
or
almost
reason.
are, because the other two are in the right order.
There's no rhyme or reason. I think he's just...
Yeah, so he goes through all the fantasies with this girl about all her previous lovers.
Yeah,
And
the same dialogue, the same stuff about her flirting with him by bathing with the door open, etc., etc. He once again does that weird pose where he gets down on the floor and poses like with his legs apart.
Yes.
And she's the actress's horror is really probably genuinely creeped out.
Yeah.
Then he assaults her, and we have the same dialogue about him becoming master of the inn, etc.
Yes, but wait a second. Then he goes away.
Yeah.
Does he come back a year later?
Yeah, he comes back a year later and now it's a restaurant.
Right.
Now it's a restaurant instead of an inn. And he just goes in and gets, like, pork katsu. She doesn't recognize him. He pays, leaves. He goes to the beach. He buys clams off an old lady.
Yeah.
Then he finds a cat.
Yeah.
He cooks the clams on a campfire on the shore. He puts the cat's paws on his eyes. That's it.
So this 1 year gap makes it even worse.
Yeah, where's he been for a year?
Where's he been? Because let's assume that the Neji-shiki dream is some kind of his brain processing all the stuff with Kuniko's cheating and all the stuff that he's been through.
Yep.
Why is there a year gap before he has
It makes
this
no
dream?
sense for there being a year gap. There's no sense at all.
He should have kind of ended the Willow Inn story with him saying, I bet you won't remember me in a year, go to the beach and have this dream or something like
Yeah, or have the
rather than have her actually not remember
or have the countryside sequence occur during the year and then have him go back in to the... But that would require doing something other than just laying comics one after another.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then we get the Neji-shiki sequence, which is actually pretty good. A very faithful
Really
adaptation.
Close in almost a way. So he sees himself coming out of the water in this dream sequence, holding his arm. We don't get the B-52.
It's probably outside the
He
budget.
wanders through. Every shot of it seems like they just laid it out from the comic. Like he wanders through this, like these rags on sticks on the beach.
Yep.
And then
we have
framing of the people, like even the way the people
It's even weirder in this than it is in the comic. It feels really odd.
Yeah.
Like a ghost town or something.
Yeah.
And then we get the marching band goes by again.
Yes. Yes.
The train.
Oh, yeah, he falls on the ground.
Yep.
When he's talking to this guy.
Yep. The train comes, so with the train they've production designers or prop designers have actually built little models faithfully of.
I actually love the shot because in the comic, that full page splash where they return to the town, I didn't describe it. It's very weird because the train is basically coming between two buildings, which are very crammed. These hovels, which are crammed very close together. I don't even think there's a train track. The train just on the road, the dirt just coming between these two houses. It's like an impossible visual or an impossible thing for a train to be traveling like that.
Yes.
I love that they build this little model train with the little model houses.
Yes,
and it's kind of really obviously.
I think that's where most of the money got spent, on these really cool, because they're faithful little little reproductions of and the building as well. The building with the gynecologist, the Kintaro Candy building.
Yeah.
Someone, prop designer, has built these lovingly to make them look exactly like the comic.
There's bits here too where when he's wandering, they'll be in a studio with just a red background or something with some that kind of effect, just some lighting effects.
Oh yeah. It's a yes. Yeah, we've got a red filter over a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's lit in a certain way. It's not meant to look. Whereas the rest of the film has been very kind of cinema verite.
Yeah.
Prosaic, as you said, which is a great word. He's just kind of having these everyday kind of conversations and encounters. Now, all of a sudden, wham! It's set on Mars.
Yeah.
Bam! City, town full of eyes.
Yes. Yes. We get the close-up of the rotting arm with the flies buzzing around. It looks like some... I don't know how they did this weird special effect, but...
Yeah, and there's plastic flies that they've bought from, a toy shop.
Yeah.
It's good. He meets the candy seller again.
Yes.
And it's dialogue's exactly the same. You were my mother from before I was born.
I will say there's a moment here that's... He holds his hand up to his head in the same pose as in the comic. And this, to me, was emblematic of a kind of problem with this sequence. Tsuge has tried to draw reality, or draw what's in his head, and come out with this awkward drawing that probably he doesn't have... In fact, he did do some redraws of some of this stuff later on.
Oh, okay.
That he was probably like, I can't draw a guy holding his head, and we've got this very awkward image. Now we've got a movie where a guy is holding his head in an awkward way, but Tsuge wasn't trying to draw that. He was trying to draw a person holding his forehead in anguish in a realistic way, I think, and just couldn't do it.
No.
And now we've got this movie where, Tadanobu, you have to hold your head like this.
Yeah.
Look at the panel, and he's holding his head like this.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Veronica.
Yeah.
When we have that sequence, we have nonsensical sequences where people are standing in impossible positions because he's tried to reproduce bad art.
Yeah. I would also say, for our Patreon listeners, listen to our episode on Halo Jones about not making any changes to anything.
Treating you... Yeah.
It was just... It's weird. And actually, there's one moment here where I actually think... I can't tell, but it looks like they've replaced Asano with a plastic figurine or something for that head pose. It's very odd. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe if they wanted to get... I mean, that shot's really weirdly cool. It looks like stop motion or something.
It does look cool.
So he gets to all the eye signs. He meets his mother. We get that model of the building, as you said. He goes up there. She's in front of a window with a battleship on the...
Yes, and it's firing.
That in the comic?
I don't think so.
Huh, okay. So that might be one... Maybe that's a replacement for the B-52?
But perhaps. But, it's funny because it's shooting as well. It's got little pyrotechnics going off.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
Let me just see if I can find it here. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the movie and being like, that's... No, it is, there. Yeah,
it wouldn't have made any sense to put it in if it wasn't there.
That's right.
Okay. But he's jazzed it up by having it firing little shots.
Yeah, it looks like... It looks like there's some shots in the water. Yeah, it is firing there in the comic.
Excellent.
So he's absolutely not left that out, but he left at the B-52.
Well, it's a little easier, I suppose, to do a little boat in the background than it is a B-52.
She's like, hey, I'm not going to treat you because you're a man. This is a gynecologist. Interesting thing here, she's put some reflections of Tadanobu Asano upside down in the reflection, which is a cinematic thing which isn't in the comic. It's like one addition that he's put in here. They have sex. She looks like the same woman in every shot, which is disappointing. Should be a different actress.
They should have cast 3 different
of all different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
But while they're doing it, yes, she fixes up his arm. I didn't notice if she was the one that gave the line about "you're very rough," or is him.
I didn't notice either. But again, he's got the threaded valve.
Yeah. And we do not get the
speedboat.
The speedboat at the
It
end.
costs too much to hire a speedboat.
He just says, "Now when I close the valve, my arm gets numb." Cut to people painted gold,
Writhing
nude,
on the beach again.
Writhing on the beach. One guy's got this giant
Phallus.
12-inch long phallus that everybody's like dancing
Everybody's
around.
trying to get it, and he's like
flipping
he's
it
like
up and down.
flipping it around.
Yep.
He's like swinging his hips and making it bounce up and down.
Yep.
Why?
And he's painted, they're all painted completely gold like in Goldfinger, and they're dancing around.
Topless, wearing loincloths.
Yep.
And then this just plays
And
over the
it's
credits.
5 minutes of this over the credits. Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
The end. Very strange movie.
Yeah. Okay, so
Very
you found
avant-garde.
something about it. You found this interview.
Well, I got this interview.
Okay.
This interview was published on a blog in 2011, purportedly from 1997, but with no sources.
Okay.
Anyway, as I said, they ask him. They say you've been enamored of the manga of Yoshiharu Tsuge, doing films of his. Master of the Gensan-kan Inn is the other one.
Yeah.
And then they say Village Field, which is not by him, it's by his younger brother Tadao. And they refer to the film in this interview as Wind Up Type.
Right. There is another Tsuge movie, which is The Man Without Talent.
Okay.
From 1991.
But not by Ishii.
Not by Ishii, that's right.
To say, what is it about Tsuge's manga that makes you want to adapt it to film? And to that Ishii replied, he shows the very poor side of society in Japan. That's what interests me.
Right.
Then they ask him about Villenfield. They say there's similar imagery in this from your earlier Yakuza films and the bizarre sadistic imagery of horror of malformed men and hell's tattooers. So Ishii was famous for doing eroguro,
Okay, yeah.
erotic,
Grotesque
films,
Yeah.
like really explicit and weird. He's just like, he just makes.
Right.
He's like, what's he like? I don't know what he would be like. Kind of like Roger Corman crossed with John Waters.
right, okay.
To which he replied, I was only using the same imagery I found in the manga. Now, I believe that because this film very much just uses images from the manga with very few exceptions. They then ask him, you've made many profitable films over the years. Actually, this was his 81st movie. So it can't all have been profitable. Can't you now pretty much do what you want? She laughed and said, not really, I'm a veteran crank. Then they said, look, all the successful films you've made, you'd think producers would just let you do what you want. He replied, it's the same thing that happened with Wind Up Type. No one wanted to adapt it from the manga because it is a very unusual story. That's what made me want to do it. I felt it would be an adventure trying to bring it to the screen. You can expect a funny, strange, adventurous film.
Okay.
So he liked the mangas and he thought, for number 81, why not just do something crazy?
Right.
I guess.
Right.
Not a lot of information about this online, so I looked up a few of the actors, as I mentioned.
Okay.
So the lady with the 2 credits, obviously. The lady that plays the gynecologist is Kaoru Mizuki.
Okay.
She's cast because she's willing to get her clothes off. She did a lot of softcore porn in the 80s.
Right. That would be Pink Egga, I believe they called them.
Okay,
Pink
yeah,
Eggas.
yes, right.
Yeah.
Here are some of the titles that she appeared in.
I can't wait.
Her first film was Seiko's Juicy Thighs, Public Bath Beauty, in which she played Seiko's sister. In 1983, she was in Attacked Female Teacher. In 1984, Female College Dorm versus Nursing School Dormitory. In 1985, Wives Rape Mansion.
Wow.
And in 1986, Love Slave Doll, Make Me Come.
Wow.
And there were a few others, but they were the funniest.
Yeah.
Now, to be serious for a moment, The Candy Seller.
Yeah.
she was played by Nijiko Kiyokawa,
Okay.
a veteran Japanese film actress.
Okay.
She did her first movie in 1993. And then, 1933. 1933. Then, except for 5 years in the 1940s when presumably she had kids, she did at least one film a year until she died until 2002.
Wow.
And most years she did much, much more than one.
Wow.
Even better, this isn't the first film where she's played a candy seller.
Oh, okay.
She plays a candy seller in the Akira Kurosawa film, The Lower Depths.
Whoa.
Which she was in with Toshiro Mifune.
Right.
Which would make this almost certainly stunt casting.
Yeah, right. Yes, you're right. You're right.
She's reprising her role as the
absolutely.
candy seller in this movie. So maybe...
I wonder if what year that movie... Did that come out before the Nejishiki comic? Because maybe that's what Tsuge was dreaming about.
Maybe it probably, almost certainly what Tadanobu Asano's character's remembering watching the Kurosawa film.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And now she's the same candy seller.
There is
much, much older.
There is one other bit of trivia, which I have.
Great.
Which you probably figured out, because Holmberg writes about it in his afterword. Teruo Ishii directed a movie in 1965 called Abashiri Prison, starring Takakura Ken, which had a theme song sung by Takakura Ken. In Master of the Willow Inn, the main character has a song going through his head, which is kind of the thing that inspires him to go to the seaside. He has a song going through. That song is the Abashiri Prison Inn theme song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if it actually is what they used in this movie, but it's weird that Ishii directed that movie, inspired that manga, essentially.
And then ended up adapting it.
Yeah, now he's...
In 97.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Any other bits?
That's all I have. Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's do our votes. How do you feel about these comics?
The comic's not really for me. I've made plain my feelings about grown-up comics in the past. But I must say, I mean, reading this, it's funny. Sometimes there are works like this where you read them and you don't kind of really get them or see the appeal. But if they didn't exist, everything you love would vanish.
Yes, that's true. That's absolutely true. But, I mean, I guess there's kind of a middle ground, because I remember you liked the Kripax Valentina comics. So there is a kind of avant-garde level that you're like...
Well, they sort of had kind of...
They had a structure. They had a kind of more narrative structure to them.
I think
these are weirdly anecdotal. I mean, the non-Nejishiki ones are...
The ones that had more of a story, I was vibing with a little more. And there was one I read which I wasn't supposed to read, which was my favourite of all, which read like a horror manga.
More like, traditional Gekiga kind of stuff.
Yeah. But as for Nejishiki, this bombshell comic with all of its surrealism, but the first time I read it, I read it 3 times. The first time I read it, I said, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it has grown on me, and talking about it, actually, I found I've enjoyed talking about it. But it is an A for me.
Yeah, it's a yay for me.
Excellent.
But I do like this kind of comic. There's a particular cartoonist named Chris Reynolds who draws dream stuff, and it's not for everybody, but I do appreciate it when somebody is able to... The first chapter of Alan Moore's Jerusalem, I will say spoiler, is a dream. But reading it is like, this feels like a dream. Somehow something about it, he was able to remember what dreams feel like and describe it. I really appreciate it when an artist is able to do that.
I agree. You'd think it would be easy. Hey, I'll just make stuff not make sense, and I'll just shove a pipe in there, or or whatever, and then it'll feel like a dream. But it doesn't. It just feels like wacky nonsense.
Yeah,
it does take skill.
Yeah. So I do actually like Nejishiki. How did you feel about this movie?
No. No.
Yeah.
It's too nonsensical.
Yeah. Yes. Now, here's the thing. Okay, so in the manga, sometimes each of the translators, at least once, well, especially Randall and Holmberg, would try to make something make sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not what this is about.
Oh.
Now, coming to this movie...
He hasn't bothered to try and make it make sense. And it's even worse.
Are we in the wrong for trying to find sense? Is that not how it's supposed to be watched?
The trouble is, because the tone is so... I mean, we're stepping on adaptation here. I suppose I'll just get sort of how I feel about the film out of the way.
Okay.
It's hard to know what's going on. I don't understand why he teleports.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like it for those reasons.
But I did like the Nejishiki sequence.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes, that part was cool.
Okay.
That felt like, again, like it was a bit like a film project, film studies project.
Yeah.
I'm going to adapt.
I'm
going to adapt Neji-shiki for
film. Here's a question about that. Let's assume all the scholarship about Neji-shiki is correct, and we've got symbols of poverty and alienation and isolation and all these things. We've got Tsuge's inner neuroses coming out on the page. There's some Freudian readings or something like that.
Right.
If those things are true, then we don't need the other two segments. If as Ishii says, I was interested in the depictions of poverty, well, that's all in this 20-minute Neji-shiki sequence.
Yes. You should have just make the short Neji-shiki film. It really, well, let's move, so it's Nei.
Okay.
But let's move into adaptation. What's he done? I mean, he's just taken comics he likes and filmed them.
It's 4 movies.
With the same actor.
5 if you count the credits.
Yeah.
With the same actor, much together,
yes.
with no connecting tissue.
No connective tissue, no framing device. He's not on an Odyssey. I mean, I used the word Odyssey earlier, but he's not on an Odyssey because he doesn't travel.
Yeah.
It's just separate stories with nothing to link them together.
But my question is, are we in the wrong for saying, hey, this isn't adding up? Are we supposed to read it like Neji-shiki?
No, because they're 4 or 5. Because they're 4 different comics.
Yeah. Yes.
They're not. It's not a self-contained body of work. He's just slapped 4 comics by the same author, presumably.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's got. Yeah. It needed something.
Yeah.
Maybe not to go as far as some of those, especially the Neji-shiki. I mean, the Neji-shiki bit is good.
Yeah.
He hasn't tampered with it.
Yeah.
And he's done a pretty good job of getting that dream sense.
Yeah.
In the movie. If we were reviewing Neji-shiki the short film, I think I'd probably be saying yay for adaptation. But he hasn't adapted these comics at all. He's just reproduced them in a random order.
Yeah.
With no reason why we see one before another.
When I first heard that this movie existed and that it was 85 minutes, I was looking forward to an 85-minute adaptation of Neji-shiki.
Yeah.
Somehow made into this 85-minute movie with like additional sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or something that would work in that way. By the way, there's a 12-minute animated version as well out there.
Yeah, I believe it.
Which I haven't seen. Why, there's also a video game.
Oh,
in the late 80s.
That was in my trivia as well.
Yeah.
Holy shit, what is the video game like?
A point-and-click video game where I guess you're going around trying to get your arm fixed.
It sounds like...
The whole thing's on YouTube. I'll post a link in there somewhere.
I have to see it. I didn't look it up yet. Well, I just wrote that down, so I'm going to have to mention this.
Yeah.
A video game. This is right up there with the... It's right up there with the Viz video game.
Yes. Yeah.
And in the how the fuck does this exist category.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Very crazy.
So no for adaptation.
Yeah, no, it's a nay for the movie and the adaptation for me as well.
Yep.
Unfortunately. Okay.
Please like, rate, review, subscribe.
Yes, please like, rate, review, subscribe. You can contact us through the email address, which is in the show notes, or you can send us a DM or leave a comment on our Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, YouTube, or Reddit. I think Reddit's
pretty active.
It's more active than the others, for sure.
We're posting pretty regularly on the Reddit.
Yeah. And please join our Patreon at patreon.com/comicbookmovieoblivion. All one word. You get 1 episode of Comic Book Movie Apocalypse per month at the moment. And also help us with hosting fees.
Absolutely. They're pretty good. We just did one on Halo Jones, which you mentioned in the episode.
That's right.
Where we talk a lot about the perils of faithful adaptations.
Yes. Yes. On the audiobook of Halo Jones.
Correct. Yeah, as well. If you want to hear us talk about something that's not a film on our
Makes
film
more
podcast.
sense, yes. For a podcast. Okay, so next week we're going to have a look at the Swamp Thing movie, the Wes Craven Swamp Thing movie from 1982.
The second one we've done on the on the podcast.
We're doing it in reverse order.
Yes.
Nobody has died. It's just that I've been reading a lot of Swamp Thing comics this week. Also, the Rick Veitch Jesus storyline is finally back out. Do you know about this?
No.
A little bit? Oh, okay.
Should we talk about it next week?
We'll talk about it next week. So we're going to be reading the Bernie Wrightson run on something that's issues 1 to 10, and that's all you need for the 82 Wes Craven version.
Excellent.
バカを承知のこの家業赤い夕日に背を向けて無理に笑った渡り鳥その名も網走万が一キラリキラリ